Good morning. I am Belinda Sawyer with REMAX Capitol Properties.
And I'm Pam Pafford.
And we are here today to talk to you about why it's super important to hire the right agent if you're buying and or selling. There's a lot of things that can happen in the process, and we've come to some more recent things that have come up that are
A little nerve-wracking.
and they could be avoided completely.
Yeah.
So
the first thing, obviously, with an agent when you're looking, you submit your offer and yay, it was accepted. So there's a lot of things on like what happens after that as far as the agent, what we do as your realtor. And it starts as soon as that happens with getting the documents to transaction coordinators, to title, making
To the
sure
lender.
coordinating to lender, your earnest money deposit, whether it be a check that we pick up and deliver to either the other brokerage or the title company, or working with the wires.
yeah, and the nice thing is we have a checklist back at our office that you don't necessarily you're not gonna necessarily see every little step that we have to do, but we go back. We're really good at going back and making sure all of these little check marks are done so that you've sent the offer. You don't exactly have to worry about that.
And it's very important to stay on top of the transaction in general for you. The lender has to get the appraisal order. We've run into this recently. Say there's appraisal-required repairs. We work with the other agent, whether it be listing or buying, to make sure that those get scheduled to be repaired. And as your realtor, if you're the buyer, they should be keeping on top of that with the selling agent and the lender and the appraiser to make sure that's all coordinated if they need to come back to do a final inspection. A lot of people don't realize that. And when you're talking, your agent should be talking about there's a possibility for lender required repairs.
Which is usually a VA loan or FHA loan. It's not going to be just your typical conventional loan.
No.
They won't call out repairs. But if you're a FHA buyer or a VA buyer, then we will always say there's more than likely going to be appraisal required repairs, which the appraiser has to come back out and approve before closing.
So before you can do the final settlement statements, anything with the underwriting and the closing department of your lender, they have to have that sign off by the appraisal saying that yes, these required repairs were completed. That is to protect you as a buyer. And I know it can be frustrating because sometimes your closing can get pushed, but FHA and VA have different requirements of homes before they will agree to do the mortgage on them.
Right.
So that's the appraiser's job. And sometimes the appraiser doesn't call everything out.
Right.
Sometimes they call more. But when you're still in that contract as your realtor, we need to make sure that those are getting done by your closing date so it doesn't get pushed. Or if it does happen to get pushed, which we've all had because of either weather or circumstances, we want to make sure to take care of you still to get you into that home. If you're having to move between one house to another, if you're moving from out of state,
You should know within a certain amount of days if closing's not going to happen on time because of appraisal required repairs. But if all things go smoothly, which the majority of the time they do, because we're making sure that the timeline corresponds with your closing date, then there shouldn't be a major problem. I mean, I guess
communication between agents and say appraisers or agents, the buyer and seller, and even with the lender, that needs to be open. It needs to be clear. It needs to be specific. And if it's not, then as realtors, you need to own it and still then work to get what's best for your client.
So I would say, and especially if this is your first time or you've bought in a house before, but just when you're interviewing the agent that you would like to work with, these are some different questions to ask. Is like, what's your relationship with lenders? Because we can call, it doesn't matter which lender it is, we can actually call them and get certain information from them, or they send us emails. But it's just going through those questions and making sure that we're, that you're covered on your end. And because we want this to be stress-free. We don't want you sitting there worrying. We will take your stress for you, which I'm knotted up right now because of a couple different scenarios, which we'll go over. But it's like, I'd rather stress for you than you can go pack and do all that fun stuff. But you shouldn't have to stress over little things.
Because we know how stressful it is. We move too.
Yeah.
And It's
really
not the funnest thing to do in the world, but we're in the business of it and we love making that happen. But I know, like with you, one other step too is after the contracts go through, as a buyer, you have the right to do any and all inspections that you want to have done. We always give our clients the option of you can call and schedule that if you want, or if you have specific people, we can do it also and call and schedule the repair or the inspections. Sometimes buyers like to be at the inspection. Sometimes they don't. I've had both.
I've
both.
and
And then sometimes if it's vacant, the inspectors are good just to go in there and do that. So there's all different cases that your realtor can work with you. If you do want to go, if you don't want to go, they can, we kind of have a list of affiliates that we call.
That we trust. I have a story though. Yesterday I did have inspections with my buyer and he took off the day so he could be there, which is great because you can talk to the inspectors and they can give you the information. But it was a vacant house and I was standing for like an hour and a half and my back started killing me. So I think I'm gonna take a camp chair or something.
Yeah.
But I was like,
the open houses when you have vacant and then you think you're gonna bring a camp chair and then you're like, oh, I guess I'm sitting on the stairs.
But it was fine because I chatted with my buyer and his buddy and it was great. But I did make, I had an emergency phone call that came up real quick that I had to run to my car and sit for like 5 minutes. So anyways, those are behind the scenes things that take place.
Those are the funny things that take place.
But no, as far as, I guess let's go into the inspection thing as far as us hopefully I have a seller right now and we're waiting for the rest of the inspection reports to come back, but there's a possible partial sewer line replacement or repair. She thought she was concerned about their roof. That came back to not being as much as they thought, which is a good thing. And then there was some other pricier inspections like radon mitigation system. And so we as agents hear all that information. And so then also talking to our clients of, I guess not stressing them out about this could be, $30,000 before you even have all the information. Just say, we're getting a second opinion. We're going to get pricing so that they're not, I guess it's another way to eliminate stress.
It would be nice to be able to have all the information before, but because if you're representing, there goes my Tuesday wacky tongue talk. Holy cow. If you are the realtor representing the seller, you usually hear about the problems then after the buyer. It's not like you're in there and you're seeing it done where you can then look at it. So what we're having to do and what your agent should be doing is when this is up, try to, yes, we have to let you know as soon as possible, but reassure them that we're getting second opinions, that I'm calling on this, that we're double checking that. We have, X amount of days before we have to respond. And then as your realtor, we should be busting our butt to get you that information in a timely manner, to try to keep it calm, to try to help the situation, talking with the buyer's agent, talking with you.
Making sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. Same with the buyer because we want them to feel comfortable. So yeah, there's just a lot of behind the scenes information that we do before, I guess, talking about it with our clients. Or something else I was going to say along that line, but
yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We're live. It's Tuesday. And we were dressed as chickens earlier today, just this morning too, but that's it. So yeah, the other thing with the inspections is there negotiations. So people feel like too, they don't realize the negotiations can happen afterwards or when they do. So that can help as a buyer as a seller.
Exactly.
No. And as a buyer, if it is big enough or the repairs come in more and you don't feel comfortable going through with it and the seller and you just can't reach terms, you do have the option to then walk away because you could not come to terms on repairs. So there is,
which is a relief to know that, and that's the big why we say you have to do your inspections and your due diligence, because it might be too much and you don't want to worry about having them all repaired, or maybe the seller isn't able to do all the repairs. But the other thing that we do for sellers is just we will write down like what your house is selling for, all your expenses, plus put in like the repairs so you can decide this is your budget. And there's different options with that we can offer the buyer if you're on a budget and you can't repair everything.
So then you can see it.
But we just, hopefully we'll help you not have too much stress. So
And keep that, because repairs can be. Once the appraisals and the inspections are usually the biggest thing that you're waiting on. So what our job should be to keep that calm and transaction still moving to the closing date. And also just being honest. If you're talking with the lender, you need to know, you should have an idea if there could be a holdup. So that you want to pass along to your clients
absolutely.
as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And your local lender should be communicating with you.
Yes.
You just have to make sure that everybody that's involved in the deal is on the same page and is up to date on all that.
And that is one of the really good things about using a local lender. And I know not everyone does, but local lenders communicate way better than if we have to call somebody on an 800 number and they live in
California, Washington,
Vermont. I don't know.
Yeah,
they just don't
somewhere
care.
not here.
Or they're different time zone. It is a lot harder. And we try to have relationships with multiple lenders in town. So a lot of that has to do because we are back and forth talking with them. So I had an experience the other day on my buyer who bought a house and we closed, and she walked in and the humidifier was flooding her laundry room. And we had already closed, and the humidifier was supposed to have been serviced. So have you ever had a crazy thing like that happen?
I had to buy a washer and dryer once because my sellers forgot that they were supposed to be left with the house.
So there you go.
So then when the buyers got to their house,
There's
the washer
no
and dryer wasn't there. So then I had to go to Lowe's and buy a washer and dryer.
So there's that.
I haven't had that where like a repair, that's part of owning a home. I have heard about like another friend of mine when they were selling a house before was an agent. They sold the house the next day. The buyers called because the garbage disposal went out or something.
Oh yeah.
Which that's part of owning a home too. Is some of these things it just happens.
It just happens. And with the humidifier, since it was supposed to be serviced, they actually had forgotten to service it. The vendor did, and so I called them because I'm like, the seller does not need, or buyer doesn't need to worry about that since they're moving their stuff in. And they actually made good on it, and they're replacing the whole humidifying system.
Awesome.
So it was like a $600 mistake on their part, but we use these vendors a lot, and they did.
Well, and you took it upon yourself, even though the deal had closed.
Yep.
And then we do tell our clients that, like, just because we're closed does not mean that we're
done.
We're done with you.
Talk to you again.
Always call us if you have any questions, handymans, anything like that, lawn care, any questions at all at any time.
If you need your fireplace serviced, we have a number that we can give you or we can call. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can get them in faster than maybe you can get them in just because we have more of a relationship. So
just sometimes you just have to call in the favors if you have.
Right. Exactly.
Which we've done that too.
Exactly.
But
do we have any questions coming in? Because I'm sure there's
or anybody
a lot.
saying hi? No.
Okay. So let's come up with another good story of how we've helped our agents. I'm trying to think of like past stories of how we've not helped our agents but helped our clients have kind of a streamlined move in or move out.
Yeah, I think it comes down to two. We've both had several clients that moved from out of state. Mm-hmm. Some were building new construction, so trying to time that. Some are selling here and moving, so then it's us getting them in contact with another realtor.
I have
in the state.
I have a good story.
Okay, tell us.
I came up with a good story. So as far as I know there's a conversation on do we really need a realtor? We can just do this ourselves? We can. Advertise our house, which I just saw one being advertised on Facebook. But I do have a client that put an offer in different state, but it was just a for sale by owner. They put an offer in, verbal handshake, came back to put their house on the market. And it was actually, I think the day that I went over to put their house on the market, the people had called and said, sorry, someone else came in, offered less, and sold it out from under them. Yeah. And they said they'd be good on their handshake. Mm-hmm. So if they would have had an agent and an actual contract, they actually would have had time to decide, do we want to up our money? Or they would have had options. Mm-hmm. So it's another reason to use. There's a reason we go through all of our schooling. We have experience. We know what we're doing. We can read through contracts and we can negotiate. Yeah. So it's really important.
Well, and the liability when you do for sale by owners, a lot of people don't realize that. And we take a lot of that on and in our discussions when listing and through the process. of errors and omissions. We have that insurance here. We have the knowledge of the broker. So it is very important to have that listed. And Wyoming too is a non-disclosure state.
Yeah, so you don't know
So
the
you
price
don't,
the
people
houses are
don't,
sold for.
they're like, I saw it down on Zillow or Realtor.com. Well, you don't, that's not actually saying what it sold for. If there's any concessions, we have access to that, which is a knowledge that we can then give to our clients and pricing and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, and to just representing. I mean, our job, our fiduciary responsibility is to our clients.
Absolutely.
So we go to bat for you to get you the best deal on both sides of it.
Yep,
And in
always working in your
negotiations,
best
everything.
interest.
Yes.
We will always work in your best interest. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on.
It is.
It's not about the bottom dollar for us. It's about we want you to get exactly what you deserve, and we'll take care of you. Yes, things can happen and they can come up, but...
And that's where everything with, you know, the commissions and everything have come under so much fire.
Yes.
The last couple of years. But really what is really sad is that commissions have always been negotiable. Always been negotiable. That has never changed. The system of how we do it to bring the best buyers to you by paying out of our fee to the buyer's agent has not changed. But the fact on being able to explain that correctly is very important. But there is options where we can help, and we both have gone or very minimal paying because we don't get paid until after closing, and that's after the brokerage gets paid and
or if you
taxes.
decide not to go through with the house, we still don't. I mean, we
still
have
don't get paid.
expenses, and I can't think of any other job out there where you do all this work we put in before you even get
paid.
a dime, and sometimes you don't even get paid.
No,
but I mean that's.
But we've done that. I know we both have done that
to
make sure either a first-time home buyer or our seller or someone gets the best deal for them. Yeah. I mean, we are willing to sacrifice to make sure that we take care of our clients, and that's great to be supported by a brokerage here with Steve that agrees with us and always takes care of our clients. REMAX puts our clients first, and that's what you should be doing
which is another great point, because when just to go into what we offer our clients is we talk about staging all the time, but we offer staging in your home when we go to list it, and to me that's phenomenal because that's expense on our part, and it's an expense on your part that you don't have to worry about. So once again, we're going to help you be the best.
Yeah, whether you're living in it or not, and that's a service that we provide to our listing clients at no additional cost.
No additional cost
at all, which is great. And then we always, we bring in the professional photographers, which that is a huge difference.
Professional photography is huge,
especially today.
Yeah, don't cut corners.
You're seeing TikToks, Facebook Lives. You're seeing all this type of stuff, but you want advertisements of the home, and you have to grab that attention. So
you don't want just a picture of here's the bathroom sink. You want the whole. There's just different ways to take photography. So professional is the way to go, and we'll always do professional photography for you. And we are not the professionals, so we do hire that out.
We do hire that out. We're just TikToks and selfies.
Yeah, we can do TikToks and selfies.
Now we're just kind of talking about ourselves, but it is kind of fun. But yes, we love what we do.
Yeah,
we love the staging and design side. That's why we branched from just being realtors to do the full staging and design side.
Welcome home staging and design.
Welcome home staging and design.
You don't have to sell a home or buy a home, but we can come in and still help.
Yeah, that's another thing that people we have worked with people. We've done Airbnbs.
We've done a lot of Airbnbs.
Business lobbies. Esthetician offices. I mean, we've done other jobs on the side, and they're not buying or selling. We just help them design their space.
Holiday decorating.
We've done
we can
it all.
Organize. If you ask us to organize, we can organize and then decorate. We did just organize our storage facility.
Yeah. Or if you're just wanting to revamp, we've done that where people just need to revamp a room. We just did a living room for a friend of ours, and she bought a couple pieces, and then we filled everything in and did that. So, I mean, we do that. We live and breathe our job, and we have a passion, and we do it because we love our job and what we do, but we love our clients and helping the clients.
And we have fun.
And we have a lot of fun together. So,
so we appreciate you listening to us today.
And rambling.
And that's okay. And we love our clients. We love what we do. We love Cheyenne. Yeah. And we love REMAX.
And if you are interested in REMAX, we would always love to talk to you
Yes.
about why we love REMAX even more. But Tara's given us the thumbs up that I think we hit our time.
Yay.
So hopefully, thank you, Tara, for all you do too.
Until next time.
Until next time, bye.